Y'all, Cracker Barrel just learned the hard way that you don't get to take grandma's cornbread recipe and swap it out for gluten-free avocado toast. Like, nobody wants that. But basically, that's what they did with their logo. I know by now y'all have seen the ugly logo, and I am back reporting on it because y'all, they tried. They tried to take a minimalist, like modern minimalist chic approach, and then it just ended up looking like a woke wardrobe catalog. Like it wasn't hitting for us. But guess what? America said, no thanks, we don't want this. And now, y'all, they running back to Grandpa Herschel with their tail tucked between their legs. They're like, we is sorry, Grandpa. We had not known what we had done. But y'all, here's the real question. In all seriousness, how many times do these CEOs have to see this play out? Bud Light, Target, Disney, all of them have gone through something similar. And then they go through it before they realize that woke is not as mainstream as they want it to be. So we're going to do an update to the Cracker Barrel story. And we just got to dig into this. Let's get into it. Grace and peace, you guys. Welcome back to Unshakable with April Chapman, where we discuss all things social, cultural, political, and theological from a biblical perspective. Y'all, the rebrand disaster. Y'all, I think this may be worse. I don't know if this is worse than Bud Light, but it's definitely up there with Bud Light. So first, let me walk you through the facts. I did a video a couple of days ago when the new logo was unveiled. And what they did was they stripped down the logo, got rid of, I don't know if he's Uncle Herschel or Grandpa Herschel, but that's what we just gonna call him. They got rid of the old white guy and stripped down the logo to just this yellow sideways barrel thingy. It's very, very ugly. But what they noticed is that the customer sentiment was over 52% negative. Now, I could have told them this. Had they called me, I would have said, this is not what you want to do. You do not want to go into this direction. But now Cracker Barrel is being dubbed the Bud Light of restaurants. And it's just not working out very well for them because Cracker Barrel's brand is known for biscuits and rocking chairs and checkerboards on the front porch. When you start changing the font and giving it like a little Instagram aesthetic, you lose the core of what you were. You don't buy fried okra and country ham in a place that looks like a tech startup lobby. It just doesn't land. That is not who these people are. And then pretending otherwise, it is just corporate cosplay. No different than the woke CEO with like the little zhuzhed up glasses. I call them the woke glasses. All of these woke people wear the same kind of frames. This demonstrates that these people are just tone deaf. So take a look at this news clip, and then we're going to come back and I'm going to give you an update as to what's happening now.
And we're talking about Cracker Barrel. So we are just learning that Cracker Barrel is returning to its new logo after some major backlash that the restaurant chain faced. So we are going to have team coverage on this entire situation. So joining me today on this Wednesday is going to be Caitlin Pratt with Fox 5 in Atlanta. We also have Sveta, a consumer expert. Caitlin, we're going to start with you, though, because you have been tracking all of this from down there in the Peach State. What can you tell us?
Good morning. Okay, who knew that there'd be such an uproar about a rebrand, right? Well, you see the logo over my shoulder here. Uncle Herschel is now here to stay. We said we would listen, and we have. Our new logo is going away, and our old timer will remain. That's the latest message from restaurant chain Cracker Barrel after its stripped down logo had people fired up.
I'm old school. I like the old original menu that they had better.
You know, it ain't broke. So why are they trying to change anything?
The rebranding modern minimalist with just the restaurant name in simple font, but critics responded in numbers, saying it wiped out any personality.
I'm country all the way. I think they need to keep it country from now on.
They're not doing themselves any favors with everything that has gone woke. How many have made it?
Profits of the company have been declining for the past 4 or 5 years, and so the company thought it needed to do a rebrand and a freshening of its restaurants. Much of the backlash against Cracker Barrel's new look came from fans who labeled the new logo as woke. The CEO responding to the outcry.
We've been very transparent about our goal of making our stores feel brighter and even more welcoming than they already are, while maintaining that country hospitality and charm that we're known for.
And if you spent any time on social media the past week or so, then you've seen the debate back and forth, and even the president weighing in on this latest reverse course, saying, quote, on Truth Social, all of your fans very much appreciate it. Good luck in the future. Make lots of money. And most importantly, make your customers happy again. That's the latest here in Gwinnett County, near Atlanta. I'm Caitlin Pratt. Back to you.
So I'm glad you had an opportunity to see that. And what I want to do is just reiterate the fact that the CEO is now saying, okay, we listened, we heard you, we're going back to the old logo. But to me, this just solidifies the fact that this CEO is absolutely tone deaf. Okay, she has justified changing not just the decor of the store, but changing the logo. And she claimed or justified her actions by saying, we want to make our stores feel more brighter and welcoming. But I'm like, who are you to say that the way Cracker Barrel was not warm and welcoming? I can guarantee you the people who are regular, loyal customers of Cracker Barrel absolutely felt that it was already warm and welcoming. When you go into a Cracker Barrel, you are going because you want to see Americana nostalgia. You want to be reminded and taken back to a time that once was, without all of the modern conveniences of Wi-Fi and electricity, the dimmed lights, the rusty decor. All of that was a part of the mystique. And so when you come in and say, well, we want to brighten up the place, that's not listen, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. No one was going into a Cracker Barrel saying, we wish it was more brighter in here. No one was saying that. However, now when you go in, it feels as if you were taking your customers for granted. So now what the CEO is doing, she is saying, we were listening. We're listening to you guys, and we're going to go and take the logo back to what it was. And I'm like, the reality is now your loyal customers feel alienated, and that is not a good place to be in. When you say we're listening, I'm like, no, ma'am. If you were listening, you wouldn't have wasted millions of dollars on these consultants to tell you what every Cracker Barrel customer in America already knew. You don't mess with country hospitality. You just don't. Did you even do a focus group? Right? And if so, who was involved in the focus group? Was it TikTok influencers from Brooklyn? Because that's obviously not the Cracker Barrel demographic. I promise you, nobody in Gwinnett County, Georgia asked for this. Nobody in the backwoods of Mississippi or Tennessee or South Carolina asked for this either. I'm telling you they didn't. So in summary, Cracker Barrel realizes that they made a mistake, and now they want to walk it back and revert back to the old logo. Now, that is good news, but the damage is already done. When you look at the big picture of this cultural trend of CEOs chasing woke branding, what they're not realizing is that this alienates their base. And it implies that you think that there is something wrong with the people who liked it just the way that it is. And when you do that, your consumer is going to push back, because that's where the power lies. You exist because of your consumer. So consumer power pushes them back. And what you end up realizing is that where there is no guidance, a people fall. But in the abundance of counselors, there is safety. There is biblical wisdom that could have guided this CEO here. It does not strike me that this CEO was someone who said, you know what? Who is our customer? Let's find out what our customers want, and then let's go and do that. She didn't do that. But the problem is, these CEOs, they don't want godly wisdom, at least not the woke ones, right? What they want is they want applause from the elites on LinkedIn. And every time they go chasing after that type of validity and validation, they end up getting smacked in the face by the very people who actually pay the bills, and that is their customer.
Have we seen this happen with any other brand when they tried to take a risk, even with traditional logos, and it really just backfired? And I guess Bud Light would be a good example. Can you remind us again what happened with Bud Light and kind of where that's all come to at this very moment?
I would love to. So several years ago, and that's just Bud Light's not one brand. There have been multiple brands that have taken a different approach when it comes to traditional marketing. And I think that really has come from the desire of the C-suite to be seen as making a change, being more in tune with consumers. But what we've actually seen is that they've alienated consumers. So several years ago, Bud Light came out with a partnership, which was basically seen as a backlash for the brand, just because it seemed like they probably had not done consumer research or consumer listening prior to actually coming out with a partnership. And I think what we've seen over the last several years has been that multiple brands are creating almost like a disconnect with their consumers. So instead of listening to what these consumers want, with, again, traditional, fast and effective market research and social listening methods, they are taking decisions probably based off of the opinion of single people or smaller teams. So being heritage driven for brands is incredibly important. Cracker Barrel, again, is an example of what happens when a heritage driven brand removes its own culture from a visual aspect like their logo. And then it instantly becomes detached from its roots, and that's how consumers see it.
So here's what I'm suggesting. I am suggesting that the Cracker Barrel customer base demand accountability, because this wasn't some small oopsie, we messed up. This was a catastrophic misread of your audience. How are you, the CEO, doing this, making these kinds of mistakes? Shareholders should be asking if this CEO is fit to lead. In my opinion, if she can't tell the difference between her actual customers and her corporate echo chamber, she should absolutely resign. She is not fit to lead an organization of this magnitude. So yes, Cracker Barrel, they are backtracking. Now I didn't think that this was going to happen. I thought that because she gave all of this energy and was on TV affirming that people wanted this, that we've been getting an overwhelmingly positive response. I did not expect this to happen, but it is true. They are now backtracking. But I'm saying that the damage is done, in my opinion. They've got the Bud Light stink on them, and it's going to take some time to kind of scrub that off. And so let this be a lesson. You need to stay in your lane. You stay in your lane, serve your customers, and stop chasing approval from the woke mob. Because in the end, the woke mob, they don't buy cornbread, okay? They don't buy cornbread. They don't eat biscuits. They don't like fried okra, and they're not paying your bills. Cracker Barrel, okay? They sure do not pay the bills. But I'm curious to know, what do you guys think? Do you think that most of these corporations should stick to selling the products and get out of the ideological game? Just sell products and not ideas? Or do you think, well, sometimes it's important for a company to refresh and rebrand and to pivot, but they need to do it in a way that respects their core audience, not insults them? And to me, getting rid of all of that Americana nostalgia was an insult and a slap in the face, and it sent a message that you don't matter. We tell you who you need to be, not we cater to the people who you've always been. But whatever it is that you think, leave me some comments down in the box below. And until next time, you guys, stand firm, stay bold, and above all else, stay unshakable. Actually, Cracker Barrel, that logo should have been unshakable, but that didn't happen. And we see how that ended up. Until next time, you guys, grace and peace.